Yes, so far in terms of like execution wise, like these lads have clearly shown before that they can pull through in these bigger games. So as long as their draft doesn't look as like bad as other teams, like we've seen some
Oh,
teams
we
with
have.
some like horrendous approach to drafts, But like, these lads, you can see the strategy they're trying to pull out.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like with the teams that we weren't so happy about their drafts, like a lot of heroes in Dota, they just threaten an idea. Like, this is how we're going to play the game. This is what you're going to need to worry about facing our lineup. And the drafts we talked about, like with the Beastmaster yesterday, they just didn't address the push ever. And so in this case, I see this Doom Enchantress opening, and they've definitely addressed it. But is that enough? I think they're going to maybe rotate the Doom to mid. That's an option just to get out of the lane, maybe with the Sand King being the new offlaner. PL being quite a good carry against the Venge Drow since it's all single target damage. Yeah, Drow has her third spell, but it hits his illusions and not the hero usually. Like I said, though, not too happy about PL as a hero. This is a very good PL game, but either way, this is looking like a very even draft. I think PL struggles in the early to mid game. We talked about that the other day, and now I see a very fast-paced lineup. The Drow, the Quap, and these Venge Tusk supports amping up that mid-game damage a lot. So there's a chance where the momentum is too heavy from MOTACI here.
I've got to take a moment, right, to say as well, our AR has just improved. We've now gone from stone to golden, so we've clearly upped the levels of the value here on Mount Olympus, and we've really polished what we had.
I will say though, technically, because this is the qualifier for the main event, should they still be stone? Because do they deserve to be gold yet? I feel like maybe we're giving the riches and rewards to them too early.
But we deserve to have the
Participation
riches
doesn't matter.
around us. We're the gods set up here, mate. Come on, we've got to have our golden army, right? And they're still amazing heroes, regardless of what hand they're in.
I see. But
Found a way around it.
smart. For MOTACI, I'm thinking, okay, Timbersaw is banned. I was going to say, like, a Timbersaw-esque hero, like, you just need to see that frontliner. We saw yesterday with Megalil how they were able to execute, like, the Venge Drow behind this hard-to-kill offlaner hero. And if they can just get someone who can absorb all this kind of damage, then I think it's going to be very scary. Because, like BSJ said, PL, if he gets to his timing, sure, it's a very good PL game against Venge Drow, but it's how can he get there? Like, towers will fall very early on with these with this MOTACI lineup, and if they can actually take the right towers, because another thing as well we've seen from teams, like they'll try and take like the offlane tower, leaving the enemy jungle still open just to free farm. Like if you move around the map correctly, secure that first Roshan, it's really hard to try and find farm on the map. So I think an Underlord hero. Oh, all right, I actually can't see the bottom left. All right, okay. Timber and Underlord are banned. All right, okay. Yo, BSJ, what's the replacement to an Underlord and Timber type pick?
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling to think of off the top of my head. It's amazing how hard it is to remember all the heroes when you're not looking at it. Every single time I'm like, oh, like I feel like I should know this more. Those are definitely the prime candidates, and Kunkka's even decent that they also banned as well. Any of these like melee strength beefy guys that aren't really threatened by PL but also do some sort of AoE are the ones that are the prime. So I'd even say Sand King's pretty good. Obviously, he's picked up by the other team. So I'd say they've covered a lot of their bases here, bait-wise, in terms of covering this PL pick, making sure that it has about as free of a game as I can possibly imagine. I would almost argue just any AoE stun's good, like something that sets up for the Quap damage. Yeah, Centaur could be good. Like anything where you see the army of PLs and you can just blink on initiate onto it. Ooh. I think that's their main issue right now.
That's a nice puck pick. So the idea for like a Centaur suggestion is if they use Doom, you press Stampede, you disengage, and because your lineup isn't really locked into cooldowns, you can then just go again.
Okay.
You don't really have the way to kill the PL, but it's just the fact that your early timing, you can play around it. The puck though, it now means that you can't really escape the fight, because if they use Doom and you start running away, they're going to coil you, and now you're stuck and you're contained. And Drow, like these heroes, they don't like being like coiled or locked down in any way. Like Quap, Drow, even Venge to some degree. Like Venge has to have such good positioning to always get these good swaps out. So yeah, Centaur still could be okay, but it's somewhat countered by the puck now.
What do you think?
Yeah, this forces I was just gonna say it forces a large role for the Tusk to save his teammates, because he's the only way to get them out of the coil.
Yeah.
So that's like that leaves them in a spot where, because you said you were gonna ask, what's a good option, then Centaur. These heroes that rely on running away, I don't think are the options. I almost think they need a hero that's just gonna, like an Abaddon almost, like something that's just gonna run in, like, but then it doesn't initiate. Like That's what I mean. Like, they don't have anybody to tank the initiation,
Legion?
and they also don't have anyone to initiate.
Like an Aura-buying Legion could be alright. But it's
Aura-buying Legion, yeah.
But like, it's so all in on the push,
that's like, how do
right?
you initiate PL?
Yeah,
yeah.
So you were fine at the beginning,
man.
and now as we've gone further down into this, MOTACI have maybe let this slip away.
Kind of. We'll see. Tired. Okay. Big watermelon.
Yeah.
Sure.
That does a little bit of both. It's not ideal against heroes like Doom that can secure the fact that you're not going to get your Ravage off. That's kind of the idea behind the hero. He has Kraken Shell, so he's almost guaranteed to ult. But that does give them a reliable way to jump the PL, but at the same time, he could just dodge it, and it's a super long cooldown. So this is a situation where if they manage to run away with the lanes, MOTACI could take this. But if PL gets like 2 or 3 items, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well, like, even if you do run away with the lanes, Bait do have the mechanisms to like keep lanes pushed out and prolong it just enough to get the PL to the items he needs. So like, you have the puck, you have the Sand King. So I think, sure, MOTACI have their way to take the game, but they're very much like on this timer where I can see them doing like one high ground push, and they're going to be, you know, just picked apart from all this like initiation jump that they have. Like, they have puck and Sand King. It's going to be very hard for them to cleanly walk up to the high ground, and like one tide alone isn't really enough to be a scary frontline. So I think MOTACI, they started the draft pretty well, but overall there's too many issues I see with them finishing the game that I think, yeah, Bait should be able to take this one.
And so Bait are looking real good in your eyes. So this is a positive sign for them, because I had to endure not seeing them win games for quite some time here.
It happens, man. Come on, like, Dendy will one day rise up again. All right, we're gonna keep playing it year on year.
This, right? I love Dendy for it, but I mean, you touched on it yesterday. He's doing too much.
Oh yeah, this was from a Pushka League reference about when Kyle brought it up. It's like Dendy's got like the team. He's trying to like run the team. He's like sorting out everything, plus playing. Like, yes, there's often a point in which you probably are trying to handle too many things at one time. But he like, look at the roster he has now. Like Fishman, big time on Vegas Squadron, decent run for the qualifiers. Hopefully, like the in-game stuff can also be dealt from his more experienced players he's bringing into the team. So hopefully this tournament, we might see them, you know, actually merge, gel together.
What do you fancy, though, when it comes to 5-up? Because he's more of like the unknown, right? The pug player, you said.
We'll see after this game. You know, we got games already, you know, running away. So we'll see 5-up if he shows up or not.
So which way are you going for?
Bait, mate.
You're Bait all the way? BSJ, what are you saying?
I have to agree with Bait, but out of all the games that I've seen where it's like an established team versus stack, I like this draft a lot from MOTACI. So I'll pull a Tiga from the first day and say that MOTACI's got this. So
yeah, let's go
underdog.
This must be one of the few times we've been split across this, but it's time for us to get into our opening game. We've got Cinder and Suns fan ready to deliver all the action. How are you boys doing? It's good to hear your voices.
Greetings, friends. I see BSJ has fled the state of Arizona. He used to live 20 minutes from me, but he has fled with fear of, well, mostly me, but partially Corona as well. Good to see that you guys are all healthy. Glad to see it.
I did hear their voices.
We're in the game, Cinderin. How are you, Cinderin?
I'm doing pretty good. It's pretty chill. It's good to get to cast some Dota again. Obviously, there's a lot of players in this game that people might not be too familiar with, but most of these players are, you know, familiar faces from high-ranked EU pubs, and then of course there's the very known name in Dendy here. But yeah, I think the panel covered the game pretty well with what to expect, right? It's a PL game where if he takes off, he's going to explode. But at the same time, the Radiant lineup hits this really powerful mid-game timing with a drought strategy. So I see win conditions for both teams for sure that are. And now it's just down to the plays, right? It's the first game of this stage of the tournament for both teams, so we don't really have too much data of their exact power level right now. So let's just see how they do.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me ask you the most important question now, okay? Mm-hmm. How do you like to pronounce this team's name? Not Bait, the other team. Give me your pronunciation.
I mean, my guess would be MOTACI, but I heard the panel say MOTACI, so we're just going to say MOTACI.
Now, first of all, they were saying MOTACI, which is like the most American redneck pronunciation I've ever heard of any team name. They could be correct.
Might be the right one,
but
though.
It sounds so awful that I'm going to say MOTACI. Okay, that sounds more refined, more respectable, and less white trash. So, You do have a decent draft though. Like overall for the draft, who would you take before we get into the actual lanes here, Cinderin?
I think I like Bait
You know
more.
how we do this.
Yeah, with disregarding the teams entirely, just looking at the picks. Honestly, it's kind of hard then, I think. It's pretty even. Because, like, the way I see it, this Radiant lineup will be very strong for, like, 10 minutes in this game, where if they're playing a super good game, they could just style it. But on the other hand, the Dire, getting through that phase of the game and getting to the later portions, I think the PL will be too big of a problem for Radiant to deal with, so...
I don't want to harp on this. This is going to be the only time I say it. We have probably, you and me have probably cast more bait than anybody else as of recent memory. And I think I've seen them win 2 total games out of like 8 series, maybe. So to see them as the favorites here as Fishman is getting beat down by Tip Tech on that Tidehunter, has another anchor smash, but Fairy Fire will keep the Enchantress alive for now. So yeah, this will be a little... this is a closed qualifier, so obviously it's not going to be tier 1 teams as of yet. This is kind of a good test for Bates, right? Because they've finally been together for a respectable amount of time. It's been like a month and a half now, I want to say, maybe a little bit less. So some time to practice and work on their craft.
Yeah, for sure. And they've made a couple of changes in the roster, right? Which could, since we cast them last time, that is, which
True.
You know, you would imagine that it's not surprising, first of all, that they made changes because things just weren't working. But you would imagine, based on what we saw back then, that it's very likely that this iteration will be better in basically every aspect because that team just was not working for a multitude.
Well, the first iteration that we saw was a different level of not good. But then, in the last time we cast them, they were quite a bit better, and they just were not consistent. I mean, they hadn't been together that long as that roster, so anxious
but
to
they were
see
definitely better.
what some time is.
I believe the overlap
looking
with
at
the last time we cast them, we had 5UP was playing the last time we cast. I don't remember if they
I
had
don't know if he'd
Chrysalis at that
officially
point
joined yet.
already, but 5UP and Dendy for
I
sure,
think
and
they
maybe
did.
Fishman too. They had the same? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, who has changed since the last time we cast?
Maybe I'm
Or is
just
it the same
misremembering
roster?
it. Maybe nobody. That's
It might be
possible.
the same roster, actually, yeah.
5UP
way.
is in
Mid
some
lane.
trouble bottom. Will be okay though. And now they're going to turn around. This should be
There's the
first
Burrow
blood.
Strike into a bunch of creeps. Muff on the run, pops a Fairy Fire. Nice Ice Shards. He actually blocks himself in, but not going to chase any further, and he's going to get a healing salve off in addition.
Yeah. I actually thought they were going to get him, but they ran out of juice. I think Scorched Earth expired. And obviously after the Sanking Stun is out, you don't really have anything on this hero combination. You have no slow because he hasn't skilled Caustic, so you can't really stay on top of the
Lane
Tusk.
Venge. Oh, TP's out just in time. Not to interrupt your beautiful, sensual voice, Cinderin, but we almost got a first blood, but we didn't, so you can keep talking. I know how much you like the sound of your own voice.
It was almost
When you
amazing.
Yes, almost. Oh, what do you think of this top lane? So we have the Tidehunter right now against the Enchantress and PL at the moment. Seems to be taking some heavy damage, but we'll be joined by Venge back again.
You would think the Tide versus PL matchup is really good, but I actually think Enchantress deals very well with Tide in the early stages. So the way Tide dominates lane is with Anchor Smash and Kraken Shell. So you're naturally tanky against physical damage. But Enchantress can find like all sorts of creeps that harass with magic damage, such as this one, the Harpy Stormcrafter, any of the bigger creeps like Satyr. Typic might actually die here. He should die. Oh, he has sticks.
Oh, but the first blood was bottom onto the Sand King, but they are going to chase down the Tide, so it's a 1-for-1 across the board. But first blood goes the way of MOTACI, or MOTACI, if you want to talk like that.
Please don't make it sound like a chicken.
MOTACI!
Just don't. Or Slacks.
I mean, how can you not? When
Whichever
you
that was.
pronounce it
Both
way?
are terrible.
A chicken or a Slacks? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
That would be a good game show. A little mini game to play. Slacks or chicken?
Actually, maybe we should expand it to
Very
like
different.
Slacks or animal, and then it's just sounds playing, and you need to guess if Slacks made it or if it's any animal. That could be a good
all right.
game, actually. I think that could
Nobody
be difficult.
take that content. I get to use that since you came up with it, and I'm stealing it from you, and we only get to steal one.
I'll allow it. That sounds like fun.
Queen of Pain in the mid lane, 18-8 versus Dendy's 28-16. So not even remotely close as top lane. We're going to see the magic missile into massive damage from the Anchor Smash. You're seeing the synergy of the Wave of Terror into the physical damage of Anchor Smash just decimate the Enchantress. So 2-to-1 advantage for MOTACI.
And their lanes are going pretty well, right? Sure, the PL has great farm on bait side, but all 3 cores on the Radiant are also doing very well. Tipeg is close to him. Drow is top net worth. Quap has drawn with the puck in mid, which is a fine outcome for Queen of Pain. This is generally considered a slightly puck-favored matchup. So I think MOTACI... Damn, now you're making me say it differently, too. I don't know.
God, I love incepting your mind, man. It's like nothing more enjoyable in life, nothing more satisfying.
They're definitely, they should be happy with the state of the game so far, because this is the kind of start that they want, so that they can hit the early timing where Drow has like 1 to 2 items, Tide has an aura, and Quap has all her spells ready. So far, I would say Radiant should be pretty happy with this.
They were pressuring the PL top, but I mean, looking at his CS right now, 34-11 versus the Drows, 33-16. So pretty much a wash in terms of just the CS and nothing else. Talk to me about Doom real quick. I have been seeing mid Doom. We're seeing an offlane Doom here. Tell me about this hero, Cinderin. What has changed? Has made him more viable?
Well, he's got multiple buffs, right? Like, he got more attack range, first of all, as a melee hero. His Scorched Earth got buffed. I think, what else was it? It was like 3 buffs at once. His Devour got mega buffed. It gives way more gold on level 1, especially. He just got 3 buffs in the same patch, and usually when that happens, then heroes can go from unpicked to being top tier. Not that Doom was completely unpicked before, but he definitely got bumped up flat out just a tier in drafting priority. Seems like a very solid hero right now.
Yeah,
and he also has multiple roles, right? Which is also great. Like, it's a great pick to take early in the draft, because it's hard to pick a lineup that doesn't get countered by the spell Doom, right? Like, it's just... There will always be some hero that's amazing to Doom in the game, and if you can play Doom on like 4 or 5 different roles, then pick it early. You know you're going to have a guy who gets a lot of gold. He can buy any sort of items you need. He can buy auras. He can buy catch items if it's technically necessary. He can carry. Just have so many choices to make. Oh, he can also die.
Shadow Strike applied. I'm just going to TP out, but talked up Doom, and he dies immediately. Typical caster's curse coming from Cinderman himself. Actually, I do have a question, just a little random question here. Do you think, I know you're a big fan of like flex heroes, I am too, because it makes the draft just more interesting, and being able to, even if you put talents into perspective as well, that's kind of the same deal, depending on the hero, of course. Are you a fan of every hero being potentially a flex hero? Or do you think that some roles should just be kind of set in stone?
Do you mean like if you could on the spot just hero design everybody to be a total flex pick right now?
Yeah, or even, let's say 75-25. It doesn't have to be 50-50 necessarily, but... like, would you be a fan of every hero going down that road? Okay.
I don't know if every hero should be able to play many roles, but I think the fact that a lot of heroes can is a good thing. It makes it more interesting in the draft. It gives teams more options. It gives players more heroes to play, right? If you're playing one role in Pro Dota or in public games or whatever, or primarily, then you just have more heroes to choose from, which is great. So, I'd say it's good. Oh, we'll get the bounty from bot, but that's a turnaround.
The bounty from coming out, but the coil into the Waning Rift. A lot of damage being applied, but the Drow Ranger and the Venge are the ones to spell their own doom. No pun intended, as Doom still does not have his ultimate yet at level 5 right now. So a good bait from bait, if you will. Puns are out of control this game, actually.
Yeah.
Very good.
They're really good, too. That was a good one.
Thank you.
I want to point out the synergy between Sand King and Puck, by the way. It's this hero pairing is very strong until heroes get BKB. It's kind of interesting, because right now in this game, these two heroes can just destroy. Because you coil people and then you sit in Sandstorm, and they can't get out of the Sandstorm. That's usually how you deal with Sand King early game, right? It's run away. But now you're kind of forced in there. But as soon as BKB comes up, both heroes have like 0 damage. So their strategy kind of wants to fight a lot
top lane
around these two heroes.
That is a lot of minus armor, Cinderman. More than enough to take out that Doom. And probably the tier 1 as well, it looks like. That'll be uncontested. But damage is being applied by Denny to the tier 1 mid in the meantime.
Good pressure. He's 2 levels ahead of
Combos
Quap
will
now.
TP though.
Remember, they were like even in lane. And Dendi has definitely created a gap with that team fight
CS-wise, they
bottom range.
definitely were not. CS-wise was Dendi was stomping him pretty early. I didn't.
They just
notice
had the same
level
net worth.
discrepancy though.
So they had the same net worth and roughly experience, at least when they were both level 6, I think. But this bottom fight really gave Dendi
Two
more
kills.
more boost.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
he's
that
also been a
kills
bit
actually matter now, Cinderin? Isn't that incredible?
He is crazy far ahead on CS though too. That is very true. Like he's 88 and 31 to the 50 and 10 of Quap. So after that early stage in the lane, Dendi definitely picked it up.
Where are you going?
It's going to see the arcane rune being taken by Dendi here. He's got it bottled up, nice to go. Coil is available again. Is going for the Blink Dagger. Of course, Sand King already has his, so they can actually get these combos going left, right, and center if they want. TP out top lane ain't going to happen. Burrow Strike cancels it, and that is a dead Drow Ranger. Gets up a decent amount of damage in the meantime with the multi-shot, but not enough to really do any lasting damage. And they see all these heroes, and MOTACI will go for this mid lane push now, potentially. 5 up. Does have his Doom available, along with TipTech's Ravage, though. Let's see who wants to fight here, if anybody.
And that's something when you go back to the draft to really think about, right? Because the panel was talking about, okay, Radiant... I think it's Motachi, Shay. I really do. I'm going to say Motachi.
Motachi?
Motachi or
That's close to
Motasi.
what I'm saying.
I think so. I think I'm right here.
That's all
Anyway,
I'm saying,
whatever it is, they kind of had to pick some AoE against the PL, like the panel talked about. But when your choice is Tidehunter, I would say one of the really good heroes against Tide is actually the Doom that Fate already had, because it's finally a reliable way of preventing Ravage from going off, right? You Doom this Tide, he can't Kraken it off, he has no way of getting rid of it, and that means you just have 16 seconds that there's no Ravage. And that can easily execute this entire dire team fight, right? It's more than enough time for PL to ramp up illusions, find a kill on a key target like Dro or Quap with the coil. So I would love to see 5-up go either Dagger or Shadowblade, to be honest. Like, just find Tide and Doom him, and your fights are going to be infinitely easier to play. Alternatively, it's also great against Queen, right? Just get that jump Doom out, so you can't blink away. Start your fight that way.
I mean, literally any hero, like you were saying. Doom is very good against them. Well, Drow was able to dodge a gank here thanks to the Gust. Actually canceled the Epicenter. Did get some reinforcements here, but doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch anybody. So Motachi, I actually do like the pronunciation a lot more, Cinder. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. It's better than any of the ones that the panel or I have brought up. Back to farming we go. PL and Puck are top of the net worth right now for bait. As Drow goes into the jungle, has the Dragon Lance, will be rushing for the Aghanim Scepter. As we're going to see a snowball bottom lane onto Fishman, who's punched to half HP. And the Scream of Pain is enough to delete them. Magic Missile being applied to this Centaur Conqueror in order to prevent that courier from getting killed. Trying to regain control of this jungle, as there is some vision there.
Oh, Ravage. Oh, no.
Oh, man, the phase shift. That was actually a relatively easy one for him as well.
Yeah.
To dodge that Ravage.
I think Tipic thought it was on cooldown from the prior use, but the cooldown of this spell is really short. It's only those 6 seconds, and now they're going to find the kill on Venge instead. Dendi gets the bounty rune. That's really bad news for Motachi, because now this bottom tower, I think, is just up for grabs. You don't have Ravage. Tide is kind of your wall that can protect this tower and prevent it from falling, but without the Ravage, and even getting a Doom Tide mid would make it even worse. 5-up plus Dendi. Dendi will connect. Double coil.
Tower,
Very
right?
nice.
Coil onto 2. Waning Rift, Illusory Orb. More than enough damage to take out the Tide, and it looks like Tusk will follow suit.
Now they might get both
So
towers.
they doomed the Tide, who didn't have Ravage anyway, but it'll secure them 2 kills and the tier 1 mid now, which...
Yeah, and tier 1
arguably the
bottom,
most
because
important
nobody is standing up to this PL if the Tide is dead. So this moment, basically this last minute, the game is really falling apart for Motachi. This was extremely expensive. You lose 2 towers, which is a lot of map control. You know you're dealing with this PL time bomb, and your mid-game timing now is so off, because the Dire with this 4k net worth lead with the PL fast diffusal and the Puck having as much net worth as Dendi does, and all the mobility they have with daggers, it's gonna be so hard to force a good Ravage fight, right? Like, how do you set it up as Radiant? You kind of have to swap, I think. It's the one catch that'll give you a chance at a fight. But game plan for Bait so far coming along very nice. This is a huge lead for their strategy in the game at this point.
Dendi, of course, he's already shown it, but has the Blink Dagger to follow suit with the Sand King there. Looking for a gank here is MOTACI. Dendi is actually playing this very smart. Has reinforcement in the way of last hero on the Sand King. Last hero might have been the player that was not on their team, by the way.
Orb into haste. Now they could turn this.
Yeah. They could potentially, but see if they catch them or not. 5 up is here, and yeah, that is going to be a very easy kill on the Drow Ranger. But they did expend quite a bit, but it is the position one, so more than worth it.
Yeah.
Did bring all their heroes.
At least Venge got out,
so.
But it's very, very bad news from MOTACI. I think, honestly, at this point, their lineup should really be trying to make a smoke move, find any kill around the mid area, and take Roche. You have Venge, Drow, and you have Tag Team maxed out, and Gush. The Radiant lineup is actually really good at killing this Roche. We just haven't really seen them take any initiative that would lead to a Roche kill. I think stronger and more experienced teams would have tried for that move already. Might find Sank. Oh, quick blink. It'll be fine. There's just nothing good happening for the Radiant right now, to be honest. It's rough. You got to take initiative. You got to find something now. You're getting out farmed. You lost your towers. Your way back into this is to force a fight. You go Roche. Either you get the pick from the smoke and get the Roche for free, or you force a fight and try to get off a Ravage, unless
the
Tide is going to die for 2.
Onto the Tide Hunter. Epicenter to follow as well. The Orchid is being shown, so Dendi might be in a little bit of trouble here. Does drop, so it's a 1-for-1. Definite favor going to Mott. Whatever the hell their name is, 2-for-1 here, as Snowball does stun last year, but the Bro Strike onto the high ground will keep him safe for now. Does have the Blink available as well, so we'll expend it. Trying to bait them out here a bit. Bro Strike onto the Sand King. And you're seeing the Infernal Blade going to use as well. So it ends up being a 2-for-2 as the Vengeful Spirit looks to be next on the list of Phantom Lancer with that Diffusal and Yasha going to town. And they can do a little bit of damage to this tier 1. Not sure if the timers are low enough to actually go for this tower or not, though. So I believe that was the Orchid reveal, if I'm not mistaken. So Dendi a little bit caught off guard there. But that is the first item for Mambos, as opposed to Dendi getting close to finishing his second, which will be Deso.
Yeah. Interesting choice, the Deso here. I don't know if the Dire actually need it. He might be, again, maybe it's the logic that, okay, well, when they start getting BKBs, myself and Sanking won't do enough damage, but if I have the Phase Shift Attack Talent and Deso, and get it, oh boy. Yeah,
that's rough.
Easy pickings. But you saw a glimpse of hope in that last fight for MOTACI, because they got off. They didn't get Ravage off, but they still found the quick kill on Puck based off the Orchid. So once again, if they try to force a fight in an area, they have vision and they get the initiative, so Sankin can't epicenter them all, then I still think there is hope, but I'm just not really seeing them take this initiative themselves very much, and it's making the game extremely difficult. Obviously, a big part of it is just good split pushing from Bait, right? They're doing a good job pushing out waves with Sanking and Puck, both being super mobile. Sanking has the blink plus travels, and Puck obviously speaks for itself. So they have to constantly deal with this. Like, bottom lane's pushing in, mid lane's pushing in, you've lost both those towers, you need to always like put out fires. But if at any point you've put out these fires, it's go time. You got to do something. I think now it's smoke time. They do seem to have a plan here of grouping up in mid. Gonna bring the Drow, probably smoke to Roche here. I like the play. I think it's a low chance play, this one, but sometimes you gotta take that mega low chance play because the alternative is to just lose by default. So play that low chance.
It's the Omega League.
Gonna see the Dire scan.
It's time to take the Omega
big risk.
Cinderin. Omega big risk. Is that a double negative? I think it might be.
They're gonna...
Well, they find the illusion.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
That was a good scan from Bait. They predicted this pretty quickly with the scan, making sure that Radiant didn't do Roche, and then when the scan flared, PL started backing off in the jungle because they could be invading there, and that was a perfect read. So now they're kind of stuck here trying to push mid-tower with their siege creep, which I still like this, you know? You gotta do something. Unfortunately, the siege creep died, so I actually think this push will stop. Will probably be stopped here. 5-up has that dagger. At any point, you can just blink in and doom the Tide, and they can collapse. but they will yield. Surprisingly, they gave up this mid tower. I don't think that was necessary at all. They had TP on both Puck and Sand King. That was defendable for sure.
It will be a trade for the tier 2 bot, which
yeah, it might sound good, but when you're the dominating team, I don't think you need to give up anything here. You should definitely try to defend this when you're in position with TPs and Doom. Top lane, last hero. Can he solo
at
this?
The center, Burrow Strike. Quap very low. Looks like she will survive for now.
Oh.
But here comes Doom. Gets off the Infernal Blade. He will die for it.
What is happening?
Quap
No!
is actually going to live for now. And now Enchantress is feeding. Bait is getting swapped and blinking all over the place. A 2 for nothing.
All right.
Oh,
there were a couple of things there. So I think Sand King attacked the siege creep because he was hoping to break it with Caustic Finale, but he didn't do enough damage because spell damage is obviously reduced to break it. And if he had hit the Quap instead of that creep, or maybe backpacked his Philosopher's Stone, I don't know if he did that before he went in. But he was just that little bit of damage short, 50 health. And then the Doom tries to get the kill, fails. End tries to get the kill and fails. And there you go. Look at how fast the Radiant can rush. This is a perfect showcase of what their lineup wants to do, and this time it just got handed to them. Last hero is too late.
Actually blinked in. Yeah, able to Burrow Strike up to safety, but there's another blink on the side of Quap. Gets off the Orchid. Not quite enough to find the Sand King as of yet, and reinforcements are now here for Bait. But Doom is already at half health. Look at the minus armor into the Sonic Wave. He just takes so much damage, completely melts. He wasn't even the main target, it felt like. But the Sand King does live. And Enchantress as well.
I mean, it's a start. Bait are definitely still in a comfortable lead here, but finally something good happens from MOTACI here. They've been waiting for that for like 10 to 15 minutes. And all it took was that one overstep from Bait. So now you have an Aegis in your hands on the Drow who has Ags and is going for the Maelstrom, so trying to counter PL with the Tesla build. Tide has both Vlads and Pipe. So, I mean, you do have stuff now. See if they can catch up to either hero here. They're just so mobile, though. Their catch is pretty minimal. I think last hero will be fine. Yeah, he's out. That 420 move speed, very fast.
Wreaking havoc on everybody this game. Even though they've given up a few kills, it's still a 10k net worth lead for Bait. So feeling pretty comfortable. Dendi now has the Yules on top of the Blink Deso. Again, pressuring the Drow Ranger.
Oh, the
Gust is just out of range.
Oh, doesn't matter when Tide doesn't have
one multi-shot
blink there. I just said blink dagger in one word.
No blink. Blagger.
Blagger.
He's working on the Shivas before he goes for the blink, it looks like. I was going to mention this, but Chrysalis, of course, going for the halberd, which I've been... Talk to me about this item. I asked you a few days ago because I've been seeing a lot of carries pick this up. Not to say it's not a good item in general, but I'm surprised to be seeing it on carries pretty much every game, it feels like. I might have to hold that thought, though. I was going through the patch notes. It was mostly just nerfed recently, so they figured something out as a whole.
Oh, Drow.
Everybody's copying each other. Chrysalis,
yeah, this is not a good start.
From the Doom into the Stomp, into the Ravage, though. They do lose the Vengeful Spirit. The foil is expended onto 2 as well. Chrysalis able to Manta off the Silence. There's the Sonic Wave. It is completely dodged thanks to the Doppelganger. Into the Burrow Strike, onto 3 heroes. But the Epicenter looks like it was canceled by that Silence as well, as Curry going to expend that Aegis. So it's right now a 3 versus 5 as TipTech has 0 mana to work with. Burrow Strike to follow, and Curry will die a second time. So Bait just playing with their food, it seems.
Yeah, that was a fight into Aegis as well. I like what Bait did there. They got this halberd on PL immediately, and he led the charge. He knew how tanky he was with the evasion and all that extra health, plus the potential of Manta and Glimmer Cape coming in from the Enchantress. So just basically forced out all of the AoE abilities from the Radiant, but it wasn't even close to killing him off. And after that, the fight is just so easy. Like, when they get on top of this Drow just can't fight back yet. Needs way too many items to get there. And we're even going to see a bonus kill here on Quap bottom. They didn't even use Doom in that fight. So 5-up will clean that up with last hero very easily. And you do imagine, so now with this huge teamfight win for the Dire, what you do is you get all these aggressive wards out and you choke out the map. Because Radiant's ability to fight is so limited without AoE ultis. Without Tide and Quap ultis, you can't really do much. So you can really just chokehold the map, and every time those cooldowns are unavailable, you don't really stand a chance at fighting into this dire team right now. So it should be very easy for Bait to get this top tier 1. I think they should just push straight forward to tier 2 as well. Don't really have any concern for them right now in their ability to win the next fight. But they will actually let MOTACI have their triangle here. I don't think they had to do that, but it's safe.
What do you think
So
of
please be with that.
the mental aspect that goes into competitive gaming, where you are up by a good amount right now, and I mean, maybe your instinct is saying to push your limits or whatever the case may be. As we're going to see, Curry initiated on again double hook stomp from Sup 5 up, what his name is, Soil onto the Queen of Pain. Sup, bro, you just got wrecked. A 2-for-0 to start this fight, and Bait completely dominating right now. Tech has Ravage in 10 seconds, but with 0 damage coming out from their 2 dead heroes. You're gonna have to wait for them to respawn.
And they push fast. Then he has double damage and phase shift talent. Very quick damage.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Not too bad.
Hits for 400 right now on a
lined up as well. Going for a Daedalus, I assume. He's gonna be getting this tier 3 tower with very little resistance. I think they're gonna play this a little bit safe. So they're gonna back up. Gonna be happy with their tier 3. Gonna retrieve all their items, which the Basher is 1. Onto Chrysalis. You're seeing the smoke already purchased here from Fishman. So might be looking for some aggressive play very shortly.
Yeah, and now Doom gets BKB. Even finds a Paladin Sword for the PL, unless he might want to hold on to his Sliver, to be honest. So maybe Paladin Sword could go to... I don't know. Actually, well, you will give it to the PL. I guess the Sliver will go on Dendi then. Decent damage increase.
Sliver's good.
Doom is actually... No, Doom's just keeping it. All right. Fair enough.
Everybody wants this item. Increased the base damage recently, but I believe the status resist was lowered, so not quite as tanky.
Yeah.
But still, very
Every
good
time
item in
status
general.
resistance gets nerfed, I'm just happy, you know? Like anything.
I've been liking status resistance more and more lately, and it's mostly because I just hate you.
Oh, yep.
That's another story,
Understandable. I hate myself too, so... But I would solve that in another way than keeping status resistance.
Love yourself, Cinderin. Chrysalis pounding upon this tier 2 top now.
Yeah.
Working
Now
towards
it's time.
the Abyssal Blade. They're not going to find much resistance right now. Actually just stuck inside their base for all intents and purposes. We talked about the Tide was working on the Shivas, but realized he probably would not be able to reach that before the end of the game, so wisely goes for the Blink Dagger. Not sure if he's shown this yet, though. I guess he's not looking to hide it at all. They need to farm very badly. I want to talk about Queen of Pain, because we talked about the Orchid, which was coming around the same time as Deso for Dendi, so he was an item behind, essentially. He still has not finished his second item. He is having a very rough game. Very close to getting the BKB, though.
Yeah, they're just so far behind on CS, right? Like, look at the last hits on both teams. PL has 360. The highest on Radiant's 180. He's doubling up on CS. I feel like that's very rare to see, except if you're playing against some, like, absolute farm monster heroes. I mean, PL is definitely good, but he shouldn't be doubling up a Drow. Or a Queen, for that matter. So Bait just playing the map way more effectively, pushing out the lanes, finding the farm in the jungle. Bait, last hero will be jumped.
And last hero, he gets silenced, but he's already burrowed. Gus is going to hit 3 heroes, the coil onto them as well. There's the stop from the Doom again onto 3 heroes. He basically is playing Tidehunter at this point as he dooms the very Watermelon Man that we're speaking of. It's a 2-for-1. Puck is dead for Bait, though. The chase onto the Tidehunter with that Doom applied. It's going to be an easy one. So 3-for-1, cost them Dendi. Oof, Muff gets burrowed. Looks to be next on the list. They're gonna have to wait out this snowball. Blinks, but the Enchantress is waiting. A little bit cautious here. Burrow Strike is there though, and eventually turns into a 4-for-1.
These Tidehunter just isn't really getting to play, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
The stomps from 5 up, aka Sup, are pretty god tier this game, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're
all I
doing a
wanted to
really
say.
good job at chaining their stuns, basically. You know, you can Sand King stun into the double war stomp, or you can coil into it. They complement each other very well when they're not playing as BKBs. It's just very straightforward. I feel like when the Dire get the jump, they can kind of just pile on their stuns and magic damage and get key kills, unless the saves from Radiant are really clutch with like a good swap Glimmer or a Tusk Snowball. We just haven't really seen it. They keep getting multiple heroes stuck in coil. And once the saves are stuck in coil, well, you're not really saving anyone anymore. And Tide just I don't know, man. Like, if you go back to the drafting board at this point and you think about what happened in this game, Tide has just not... He's just not fit the bill. He gets doomed every fight. Like, there were other options available. The panel were suggesting Centaur, for example. Like, some sort of other AoE damaging initiator offlaner who can maybe, like, either frontline or catch or even disengage for his team. I feel like Tide against Doom is just a really horrible matchup, actually, most of the time. So, but they chose it. Nobody to blame but themselves. Here comes last hero.
Too great. Oh, you got the coil onto 2 heroes. BKB is popped by Mambo, so they're going to take out the Drow Ranger first. But there's finally the Ravage. He gets doomed immediately after, so not too shabby if you're Tide, considering how this game has gone thus far. Burrow strike onto 2 again. And looks like the Drow and Venge will fall. The buyback onto the Drow immediately. Quap is dead without buyback, though, so I believe this is all for naught. This might be the end of the game here. They're going to dive into the tier 3s. There's the swap onto Drow. This will be a dieback if they can get him. They're just going to clean everybody up very easily. And Drow with that Aghanim Scepter is very, very sad. The epicenter of the ages into the trees. That's GG's called. So game 1 to Bait.
Nice game from Bait. I think they played it very solidly.